Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to our online math class. Today, we're going to review linear relationships. Graphing, creating tables, verbal description, and equations. So this is like a cheat sheet to review what are linear relationships. Linear relationships, that means that they need to graph like a line, of course, linear. And there are two forms that we're going to go over. The form y equals mx plus b and the form y equal kx. The first one, on the form y equals mx plus b, we know that the rate is represented with the m, which is a coefficient. This is a number. And when you're reading a verbal description, you go with the word each, per, or every to identify which is the coefficient. What number represents the b, which is the y-intercept? The number that usually is your starting point, your one-time fee, your head start. That only happens once in the story. So the b, just for you to remember, since it says the y-intercept here is, if you find the y-axis, right, this is the y-axis, you go down, and when you find a point, that is your b. So in this particular case, for this graph, the b will be 2. B is 2, if you see there, right? So if we need to start forming our equation, we know, okay, y equals, we know we haven't figured out the m or the x, but we can say it's plus 2. Then we need to figure out the m. In order to get the m, we're going to use this formula that says delta y over delta x, which is not the same as y over x. We need to find out the difference between y points and x points, and we'll see how to figure that out. Just to mention, any line that does not go through the origin is called a non-proportional relationship. Let's see, how do I figure out the m? Well, for this, I'm going to use this graph, and I'm going to say, okay, from this order pair to the next absolute order pair, I need to find out the difference or the delta y. So I see that to get from this point to this point, I have to move 2 units going down, which makes this value in the delta y a negative 2. I'm going to write it right here, negative 2 divided by, and my x value or delta value is 1. Negative 2 divided by 1. And this relationship is going to exist in any 2 order pairs that I find in this graph. So look, to get from this point to this point, I have to move delta y 1, 2, negative 2 because it's going down, and 1 on the x because it's going 1 unit to the right. So 1, 2, and then 1. So to find the m, I'm going to say, okay, it's negative 2 divided by 1. And how much is negative 2 divided by 1? The answer is negative 2. This will be our m. And also a term that you're going to be using in 8th grade is, this is called the slope of your graph. So to finish this equation, the equation for this relationship is going to be negative 2, because we said the m is 2, times x plus 2 equal to y, right? So the equation for this graph is plus 2 because that's your b. You touch the graph, that's your b. And the m, or the rate, is negative 2 going 2 divided by 1, going 2 divided by 1, and then what times x, okay? And that is like you see in the form y equals mx plus b. If we move on to y equals kx, which means this graph is proportional because it goes through the origin. And we have a constant of proportionality that we call k. And in order to get k, we just need to divide the values of any order pair here. I can see, okay, an order pair here is 1, 12. So this is the x value and this is a y value. So we divide 12 divided by 1, so k equals to 12. So I'm going to use this k into this equation. So to create the equation for this graph, I would have to just do this y equals 12, because I figured the 12 right here, times x, which is much more simpler than the other equation. You're going to have to solve problems like this. For instance, here we have which graph best represents the equation y equals 1.5x minus 2. So if I want to identify, this is the b. So I go, okay, this is the b. b is negative 2, meaning when I find the y axis, I go down, and this one actually intersects on negative 2. This one also, if I go down on y, it intersects on negative 2 here. This one as well. This is the y-axis, and this one does not intersect on 2. If you notice, it intersects on negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So this answer choice is out. On this one, I go on the y-axis here, and I see negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So this b is negative 3, so this answer choice is wrong. So 1.5 times x minus 2, it has to be one of the first two answer choices. So we need to figure out the m. The m is the slope I did mention before. So I know m has to be equal to 1.5x. So I need to find order pairs in order to find out the slope. So I'm absolutely sure this is an order pair. I'm absolutely sure this is another order pair. Another one here. I see even another one here. So I say, okay, I need to do y over x. So in order to get from this point to this point, y is vertical. That means I have to go 1 up, 1. Then I have to go 2 to the right, divided by 2. From here to here, I go 1 up, and then 2 to the right. 1 up, 2 to the right. From here to here, I go 1 up, 2 to the right. So definitely m is 1/2. So the equation here will be y equals 1/2 x minus 2. And if I see, I don't have 1/2 x. So I'm going to prove that this is actually the correct graph that I need for that equation. So I now have this order pair. I have this order pair. I have this order pair, and I know I have to find m, delta y over delta x. So I go, okay, from this point to this point, how many units do I need to move vertical? I go 1, 2, and 3, divided by 2 units that I have to move to the side. 1, 2. 3 divided by 2. If I go from this point to this point, I should get the same numbers. I go 1, 2, 3, and I go 1, 2. So again, 3 divided by 2, and 3 divided by 2 is equal to 1.5. So m is 1.5. Check. That is this equation. And b is negative 2. So ding, 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 ding. This is the answer that matches this equation.